Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. Our teacher for this week is Lao Tzu. And today Lao Tzu speaks about practice. Practice being the key that unlocks the treasure chest. Let's get right into today's message. He says, or this is where the message for today starts. Imagine a chest overflowing with the priceless gems of knowledge and wisdom. This chest sits within you, ready to be opened, but it remains locked and inaccessible. The key to this treasure lies not in any external force providing you the solution. The key to this chest is practice. The gentle, consistent practice of self-discovery. This is the essence of meditation, a journey of becoming intimately familiar with your own mind, heart, and being. Sunbury, good morning. Danae, good morning. Beatrix, a very good morning. Awesome having you all right here. So here are a few thoughts from Lao Tzu. He says, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." He says, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Michelle, hello, good morning. Charlene, good morning. Hello, beautiful humans. Really knowing yourself is a core principle of any ancient wisdom, having deep knowledge of self. One more thought from Lao Tzu is, knowledge is a treasure. Practice is the key to this treasure. The core of today's message is practice. The fact that we show up every day, try again, practice again, is what keeps the chest of wisdom open to us. Anthony, good evening. Good to see you, man. Knowledge is like having a treasure locked in a chest. It's so close, but also so far, because even the richest treasure is not worth anything if it is locked away from you. If you have no access to it, you already have so much knowledge that's not being put to good use yet. And the key to unlocking this treasure is consistent practice. The word meditation itself means to become familiar with. And what exactly we become familiar with through the practice of meditation is ourself. We might hope that one day we'll get to a place where we never become triggered again or never experience unwanted emotions again. But for the moment, let that idea go and entertain this thought. What if every thought and feeling you have, even the worst ones, become intimately familiar to you? What if you never become unsettled or blindsided by an emotion or a thought because you know exactly why it shows up? You know where this comes from, and you know how to deal with it because you've become deeply familiar with your mind, to the point that all of this is welcomed, all of this is accepted. Can you imagine the ease and speed with which you'll be able to move through whatever has upset you? How much faster would you be able to return your attention to the most productive subjects? The key to unlocking this treasure of wisdom is practice, because everything you practice, you become better at. So you can join us for this exercise today in becoming familiar with all that is your beautiful mind. Maggie, good morning. Awesome seeing you. Hello. Today's meditation is called a sense of self. It is a practice in which we invite some of our inner children, some of those thoughts and emotions, to come and sit with us so we can have a conversation and become deeply familiar with everything that is our beautiful mind. If you're ready, you can close your eyes and we'll float away together, starting with the first few big breaths. Take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. With every exhale, soften. With every breath out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and even drop your head. We are inviting some of our inner children to come and sit with us today. The word meditation means to become familiar with. And that is the point of this practice. To become intimately familiar with what lives in our minds. To the point that we are not surprised or scared by the thoughts, feelings, emotions that get triggered within us from time to time. Familiar to the point that when any of these emotions show up within us, we know how to deal with them. The examples that I'll use today are hurt, a part of you that sometimes feels hurt. And then that inner critic, part of you that sometimes speaks to you in a very harsh and judgmental way. And then the scared part of you that sometimes is triggered in fear. Most often to do with fear about the future, but sometimes just scared about what's happening right now. We're inviting these inner children to come and sit with us, and in my mind this always looks like a grade 1 teacher inviting the children to come and sit on the carpet with her. Invite these inner children to come and sit with you. The examples, once again, is a part of you that perhaps sometimes feels hurt, then that inner critic, and a part of you that sometimes feels scared. You're welcome to use different examples. If different examples are occurring to you right now, perhaps you're dealing with something differently right now, and you can apply this exercise to that. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, helping our bodies stretch, adjust, and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. And I want you to invite these inner children to take these breaths along with you. Invite them to sit with you and do these stretches right along with you. Take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out your neck muscles forward and to the left and forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big circles, nice and slow. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. See if you're able to tilt your head to the left, and at the same time tilt your hips to the right, curving your spine into an S from your head down to your tailbone. And then change sides. Tilt your head to the right. Tilt your hips to the left. And then see how smoothly you can switch sides again and again. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened our bodies into a state of presence, or at least becoming as present as we possibly can be for right now, we can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. If you don't have the time to sit for the whole meditation with us, then this is always a good place to stop. But if you are here for the whole journey, then with every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body. Feel how softness slips into your body and settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling. Feel your body slowly softening, and feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath. But hold it only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, the reminder is that we have invited these 3 inner children to come and sit with us today. We've invited the hurt part, a part of you that perhaps sometimes feels hurt. We've invited the inner critic, a part of you that sometimes speaks to you really harshly, full of judgment. And we've invited the scared part, a part of you that sometimes is triggered by fear. See if you can form a picture of what these 3 inner children look like. It's not important that you see them clearly, but it's helpful to open yourself to the possibility of seeing what they look like. Take your next big breath. Let these inner children know that the reason we've invited them is so that we can get better at listening. Get better at listening to what speaks within us. And by listening, get better at understanding. Understanding what this is, so we don't have to feel scared of the big emotions that we experience from time to time. So as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, have that conversation with these inner children. With the hurt part, the inner critic, and the scared part. Let them know we are here to listen. Take your next big breath. We all have at least some experience of feeling wounded by experiences we've had. Feeling wounded by things that people around us may have said or done. These wounds tend to live within us still. Part of us might still feel hurt by that. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, we are turning our attention towards this hurt part. And all I want is for you to remind yourself of those moments when hurt, when a wound gets triggered within you. How does that part of you speak? What are the thoughts that come up in your mind repeatedly when that old wound is triggered, when that hurt part speaks again and again? Just listen to it again. What thoughts come up, and how do you feel in those moments when the same old hurt is triggered again? Take your next big breath. Now just imagine that you could have a conversation with these inner children, just like you could have a conversation with anyone else. And to some extent this is true, we really can. I call them inner children because they live within us, but some of these experiences we've had as adults. So perhaps sometimes this feels not like a child within us, but it feels like an adult part within us. Now as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, I want you to turn towards this inner child called hurt. And you've been reminded of how this hurt part speaks. And this time I want you to ask that part of you a question. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, the question is, in those moments when those old wounds are opened, in those moments when you feel hurt all over again, what is it that you're afraid will happen? What is it that you are afraid is going to happen? And take your next big breath and just listen. Take a moment to thank this inner child for speaking, for being seen, for being heard. We know it takes courage. We'll turn our attention now to the inner critic, the part of you that sometimes speaks to you in a very harsh way. So as you take your next big breath and as you dive deep into you, we're inviting this inner critic to speak. And I know that normally it would feel like shying away from this is more effective, but it's really not. We'll become better at dealing with this when we don't turn away. So as you take your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, we're asking this inner critic to speak. Remind yourself of that voice that speaks to you so harshly. What are some of the things that this inner critic says? Take your next big breath. And now turn towards the inner critic. And as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, we'll ask this inner critic a very direct question. And trust that this inner critic has an answer. Be open to hearing it. The question is, to this inner critic, In those moments where you judge me so harshly, in those moments when you speak to me so harshly, you're trying to prevent some bad thing from happening, aren't you? What is it that you're trying to prevent? What is the bad thing that you don't want to happen? Now take your next big breath and listen. The inner critic may be overly harsh, but the intention is always to be helpful. Take a moment to thank the inner critic for showing up, for being seen, for being heard. Then we'll turn our attention towards the scared part. A part of you that often or sometimes feels scared. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, we are inviting the scared part to speak. Remind yourself of the thoughts you have in those moments when fear is triggered in you. What are the thoughts going through your mind in those moments? What are the emotions you feel when fear is triggered in you? Take your next big breath. And then we'll turn to the scared part and also ask it a direct question. And trust that this scared narrative within you has an answer to this question. Say, scared part, in those moments where you feel afraid, what is your deep desire for me? What is it that you really want for me? And take your next big breath and listen. Take a moment to thank the scared part for showing up, for being seen, for being heard. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath holding space and into the next. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel how softness slips into your body and how softness settles in every part of your body. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. Lao Tzu's message for us today is about practice. He says, practice is the key that unlocks the chest. And the practice that he speaks about is really getting to know ourselves fully, getting to know every part of ourselves. Lao Tzu says, he who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. Lao Tzu says, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. And lastly, Lao Tzu says, knowledge is a treasure. Practice is the key to this treasure. In today's exercise, what are we practicing being? When we are able to invite the hurt part, invite the inner critic, invite the scared part, these different elements of our own personality. When we're able to invite them for a conversation, when we're able to listen to their voice speak, then in that moment we're not being the inner critic, we're not being the hurt part, and we're not being the scared part. We're practicing being something else. We're practicing being our own higher nature, the part of us that can listen. Practice is the key that unlocks the chest, says Lao Tzu. And what becomes unlocked for us while we practice this? What we're unlocking is the ability to be our higher nature the next time when these parts are triggered. The next time that the hurt part is triggered, it might be easier for you to not act as the hurt part. It might be easier for you to stay in your higher nature and recognize that this hurt part feels activated. And then in that moment, when you feel the big emotions, it might become easier that you can allow them to be felt while you're staying in your own higher nature. We only get there when our arms become open to every part of ourselves. When knowing ourselves, as Lao Tzu suggests, becomes our superpower. And as we get better at this, it becomes obvious that trying to control others is futile. The only thing that gives us true power is having a complete knowledge of ourselves, being intimately familiar with every part of ourselves, to the point that nothing about anything within ourselves disturbs us anymore. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with my inner children. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for getting to know every part of my beautiful human mind. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning that there is nothing to be scared of, nothing to try and hide away from. When all of this is brought into the light and held in love and in wisdom, take a deep breath in. Thank you for the practice that unlocks the chest. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for your willingness to allow your inner children to sit with you. Listen to them until you understand what they are about. And this is not about indulging those inner children. It's not about letting them have the wheel. But it is about not being disturbed by their presence anymore. Thank you, Beatrix. Thank you, Danae. Thank you, Sunmary. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Charlene. Have a beautiful day, beautiful humans. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.